We're back in Oxford Mills for another site visit here. I got Mike, the foreman on this project, with me here. We're going to take you around, show you some of the framing techniques. We're going to take you around, show you some of the framing techniques we're using, give you an update on the slab, and show you some of the things coming up and the things that we're doing a little bit differently here on this project that help improve the overall quality of the build. Let's show you. So I've updated you guys on the curbless showers before. This is what it looks like after the pour. So we've intentionally raked it and made it rough so it'll help bond to the sand bed. Now, Mike, it's been a little bit challenging getting the formwork out.
It requires a little bit of chipping, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So this will be a little bit of a struggle to get out. We've got most of the other showers out, but obviously it's collected a bit of rainwater since then. We do have our pipe down here ready to go for our trap, which is great, but we're working through that. You can see how it's just slightly offset from the wall, and we'll be able to create a shallow pan and help just slope everything towards the linear drain at the front here. And we've done our saw cutting, which is required. This saw cutting helps crack the slab in a way that we want it to crack. Now, all concrete cracks, it's just how much does it crack and where does it crack. So rather than having spider cracking going everywhere, we've laid our control joints out. These have all been set by the engineer, and we're able to control the cracking in a way that allows it to not cause problems when we're installing flooring. Mike, what are some of the things different that we're doing here?
Most notably, it's the bottom plate is all PWF. Every end cut, every anchor bolt sprayed down with the end cut, sealed up real nicely with the sill gasket underneath.
This certainly exceeds code.
Certainly. This is the first time I've ever seen it.
We like to do this just in case there's any water that gets built up on the lip, just to make sure that if the water does penetrate the wood, it can take it and doesn't have any rotting issues down the road. Now, we don't have our top plates on yet.
No, we're waiting for our Siga prep, basically the vapor barrier on the outside of the house. We're gonna wrap that in, top plate on top, and that way we can tie into it on either end.
Yeah, and so when the insulators come to blow in the cellulose, they'll be able to tie right directly to that with their 6mm poly, and we'll just create an entire air barrier around the whole thing. We're also gonna tape the bottom of the Siga with the Wiggle Love tape down there. We'll show you how to do that when the time comes. What else are we doing with here?
We've got anchor bolts holding the entire house down.
So one of the other things we're dealing with as well is bracing is always a little bit more challenging on a slab on grade. Normally you just tack a few boards into the subfloor, and in this one it's always a bit more of a challenge.
In this case we have four tap cons, and then we framing nail another piece of wood on top, and then we just basically tie it all together like that.
We are able to get our walls nice and straight, but it does make it a little bit more laborious to do all that work.
But once it's in there, that thing is not going anywhere.
We're gonna switch up the technique a little bit. Rather than framing the interior walls first and then putting the roof on, we're gonna put the roof on and essentially brace and install our interior walls as we go, just because otherwise there'd be endless amounts of brace back, huge amounts of tap cons in the slab, and just from a labor perspective, it can get a bit tedious.
And the sooner we can get a load onto these walls, the less bowing and buckling the walls are going to do. Exactly. We want to create that seal as soon as we can.
A little bit different too, we're also using our articulating forklift inside the building, which is a bit unusual, but it's because the house is so big, it's far easier to just drive around in the slab than trying to work around the perimeter. It's quite soft out there. It is spring in a pretty marshy area, and that's why we did have to build the slab up so much. So we've gotten a smaller forklift for now, and we'll be swapping it out for a bigger one when we go to do the trusses. But it's created an opportunity to make things a little bit easier and a little less
easier on our backs.
Yeah, a little less carrying around.
Yeah, especially with these anchor bolts, you really have to lift it and drop it. You can't just tilt her up.
That's pretty much it for this one. We will see you next time. We'll have the framing more or less complete. We'll be getting the roof on in short order here, and siding showing up in 2 weeks. So we're gonna keep this rolling through. Anyway, see you next time.